regardless of whether or not he apologized. The only thing that they think would be fair is if he were canceled altogether. Welcome to my channel, Outspoken Samantha. If you are new here, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for the support. On my channel, I like to give my opinion and perspective on things that are happening today, things that I think actually matter to everyday people, especially those of us trying to raise kids in the insanity known as today's society. I do like to talk about current events and politics, and my perspective does tend to be more on the conservative side of things. Please like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and also share it with others. Also, be sure you are subscribed to my channel. Help me to grow this channel to hopefully reach more people that value logic, reason, and sanity. Also, be sure to find me on Rumble under Outspoken Samantha in the event that YouTube decides I have violated their community standards, and chooses to kick me off their platform forever. That being said, let's get into today's topic. So as you can tell by the thumbnail, I will be just delving into this whole Harry and Meghan mess, saga, drama, whatever you want to call it, again. I can't help it. It's like a car accident. You just can't help but just watch the disaster unfold before your eyes. And you know that you just shouldn't be paying attention to it and you have better things to do, but you can't help it. And I wanted to specifically address this whole situation between the Sussexes and Jeremy Clarkson. So if you prefer the, too long didn't read version of it, essentially Jeremy Clarkson is a TV personality and columnist who lives in Britain. He recently wrote a piece for The Sun publication in the UK, and in the article he made some pretty harsh comments about Meghan Markle. The Sun received numerous complaints. In fact, it was a record-breaking number of complaints. I have heard somewhere in the realm of 25,000, and they pulled the article, of course. And Jeremy Clarkson issued an apology tweet and also an extended apology via Instagram. To my understanding, he also sent a personal apology to Harry and Meghan in California. But of course it wasn't enough for Harry and Meghan, and essentially they rejected the apology, and Prince and Princess Woke want everything regarding Jeremy Clarkson to be pulled from existence forever. So that's the gist of it. But stick around for the ride, even if you have no idea who Jeremy Clarkson is, if you don't even care about Harry and Meghan. I do think there are some things that are just kind of relevant to the society and the day and age that we live in right now. So let's get into more detail. Because I'm annoyed, I'm bewildered, I'm amused, and probably astounded, just all at the same time. All of these emotions all at the same time. And while I know that it seems to be silly to even be talking about Harry and Meghan with so many other things going on in the world and so many other things that so many of us are concerned about, these two do represent so much of what is wrong with society today. And if you ever need a reference for how the woke act and think and their ultimate goals for the world around them, Harry and Meghan are a living, breathing, walking example of what that looks like, and they just provide a point of reference for how miserable the people on the left are, and essentially how they just want to take everyone down around them. In case you don't know who Jeremy Clarkson is, he is a broadcaster, journalist, and show host, originally from England, and the reason perhaps that I have a little bit more interest in this situation than maybe some other people is that I actually really enjoy the shows that he has co-hosted. He, along with two other co-hosts, their names are Richard Hammond and James May, they used to host a show called Top Gear, and Grand Tour is the show that they all co-host now. It is focused on cars and all things cars, and just a lot of extreme challenges and just, really extreme situations that they get into, and a lot of racing. And I mean, just from my perspective as a non-car person, it's a really funny show to watch.
I do realise the enormity of the challenge I face, which is why I have gone for the fastest car in the world. Here it is.
It's Toyota Corolla.
Was that what it is? I haven't looked. Yes, it is.
Definitely a niche all of its on its own, but that's Jeremy. This is just for some context. That's who he is. This is the person that we're dealing with here. Well, apparently Jeremy wrote an article for The Sun last month, and he didn't hold back for his dislike for Meghan Markle. And of course the article, like I said, was pulled because of the enormous number of complaints. So I haven't been able to find the full article, the full text, even though I'm definitely curious. I would love to read the whole thing, but the excerpt that got people really fired up was this. It says, Meghan, though, is a different story. I hate her. Not like I hate Nicola Sturgeon or Rose West. I hate her on a cellular level. At night, I'm unable to sleep as I lie there grinding my teeth and dreaming of the day when she is made to parade naked through the streets of every town in Britain while the crowds chant shame and throw lumps of excrement at her. So that's the part that, everybody has obviously gotten worked up about. And I admit that is pretty dang harsh. And I agree that is pretty tasteless. He did clarify later that he was referencing a scene from Game of Thrones, which I think would have been really helpful to point out in this situation. And I've never seen Game of Thrones ever. I know that, it's a very popular show. Tons of people have seen it. I've never watched it. It's just not my thing. But ultimately it does sound pretty bad. And of course, his Twitter response was this. Oh dear, I'd rather put my foot in it. In a column I wrote about Meghan, I made a clumsy reference to a scene in Game of Thrones, and this has gone down badly with a great many people. I'm horrified to have caused so much hurt, and I shall be more careful in the future. And when I first read this, I honestly had to laugh a little bit, because to me, as much as I truly do believe that Jeremy Clarkson is sorry for putting such an extreme reference in this article, and it was really disrespectful. The tweet honestly sounded more like sarcasm to me. And if you've ever watched anything from Top Gear or Grand Tour, you will see that this could very well have been dripping with just a little bit of sarcasm coming from Jeremy Clarkson. But I thought it was funny how he said he was sad, he was sorry for hurting people, but that I wasn't sorry for what I said. Because honestly, I think that this extreme disdain that he has for Meghan Markle, he's honestly saying what a lot of people already think. He's saying out loud the feelings that a lot of people already have. Maybe not the hate on a cellular level, and I don't think anybody, including Jeremy Clarkson, wants to see Meghan Markle drag through the streets with no clothes on while people throw poop at her. But people already strongly dislike Meghan Markle, and her approval ratings have absolutely plummeted since the release of this memoir. And it's not because of anything that Jeremy Clarkson said, it's because people are recognizing Meghan for who she is and have caught her in so many lies, and they know that she is a narcissistic manipulator who nobody on the planet believes a word that she says anymore. Except Harry. But he's not very bright. So, I think Harry honestly believes everything Meghan says, but he and probably a small handful of other, miserable people are about the only people that would disagree with at least the sentiment under what Jeremy Clarkson is saying. So like I said, I do think that the things he said, the reference was extreme. It probably would have been helpful to say, this is as a scene from Game of Thrones reminds me, or something like that. Or perhaps just have used a reference that was a little less graphic, a little less extreme. But we have to remember that on the other side of this, we are talking about two people who have made it their life goal to trash their own family members, who have made it their mission to bring down their own family. And I mean, it's bad enough when you want to destroy people that you don't even know, as is the life purpose of pretty much everybody on the woke left. But Harry and Meghan aren't just targeting anybody. They are targeting their own family. They have taken every opportunity for years at this point to make the royals seem like the most horrible people on the planet. And now they want to complain about a ridiculous joke towards them from a guy that they don't even know. I mean, yes, the joke may have gone too far. I feel like I have to keep repeating that because I know somebody is going to take this as me, excusing what he says or condoning what he said. But Harry and Meghan have a lot of nerve to come after somebody for saying something unflattering about them. Harry literally just released an entire book trashing his own family. They made a Netflix documentary series about how horrible their family is. Meghan has a whole podcast dedicated to lying about how horrible the family is. And Harry is threatening to release a whole other 400 pages of dirt on the family if they don't agree to reconciliation talks. And they have the nerve to complain about one stupid comment about them. Of course, Harry and Meghan's response to this whole thing was probably in line with what we knew they would say. You know, we knew that they weren't going to accept this apology because people on the left don't want apologies. They never accept apologies. It said, a spokesperson, and this is from the Daily Beast, quote, a spokesperson for the couple has dismissed Clarkson's claim, telling E! News that the letter that he sent was only addressed to Harry and that the contents of his correspondence were marked private and confidential. I'm not really sure why that would be an issue, but continuing to read, while a new public apology has been issued today by Mr. Clarkson, what remains to be addressed is his long-standing pattern of writing articles that spread hate rhetoric, dangerous conspiracy theories, and misogyny, the Duke and Duchess spokesperson told E! Unless each of his other pieces were also written in a hurry, as he states, it is clear that this is not an isolated incident shared in haste, but rather a series of articles shared in hate. Here's the thing. As we know, as I've said, when it comes to the left, an apology is never enough. It will never, ever, ever, ever satisfy them. They don't care if the other person is sorry, no matter how deeply sorry they are. And regardless of whether or not he apologized, the only thing that they think would be fair is if he were canceled altogether. That was their resolve from the beginning of this issue, and it is their resolve now, and apologizing has not changed that whatsoever. It then went on to deliver this lengthy apology on Instagram, and I'll just read part of it. It says, one of the strange things I've noticed in recent times is that whenever an MP or a well-known person is asked to apologize for something, no matter how heartfelt or profound that apology may be, it's never enough for people who called for it in the first place. So I'm going to try and buck the trend this morning with an apology for things I said in the Sun column recently about Meghan Markle. I really am sorry. All the way from the balls of my feet to the follicles on my head. This is me putting my hands up and a mea culpa with bells on. Sorry, I don't know what that is. I therefore wrote to everyone who works with me saying how sorry I was, and then on Christmas morning, I emailed Harry and Meghan in California to apologize to them too. I said I was baffled by what they had been saying on TV, but that the language I used in my column was disgraceful and that I was profoundly sorry. Over the last 30 years, I have written nearly 5,000 newspaper and magazine columns, so it was inevitable that one day I'd do a Harry Kane and Sky one of the damn things, which is what happened with the piece about Meghan. I knew what had happened straight away. I'd been thinking of a scene from Game of Thrones, but I'd forgotten to mention this, so it looked like I was actually calling for revolting violence to rain down on Meghan's head. I was very angry with myself because in all those controversial days on Top Gear, when I was accused of all sorts of things, it was very rarely sexism. We never did women can't park gags, for instance, or suggested that powerful cars were only for men. And I was thrilled when Jody Kidd and Ellen MacArthur set fastest ever laps in our reasonably priced car. I'm just not sexist, and I abhor violence against women, and yet I seem to be advocating for just that. He is sorry, and at the end of it he says, so, I'm apologizing to you. I really am sorry. I was not calling for violence. That wasn't my intention at all. He says that he had been typing it out, and normally he reads through these things, but he was in a hurry and just sent it out without rethinking what he had said, and, realized that it was probably pretty tasteless to put that in there. So at the end of it, he says, can I move on now? Not sure. It's hard to be interesting and vigilant at the same time. You never hear peals of laughter coming from a health and safety seminar, but I promise you this, I will try. Who knows? Very soon, now I shall be a grandfather, so in the future, maybe I'll just write about that. I think, he did everything he could to say, I'm sorry, this was not a good idea. I should have thought through this. And we all make mistakes. Fortunately, most of us don't have, a multi-million person audience to criticize us for our mistakes, and we are able to go to people and say, I'm sorry, I said something really stupid, that was out of character, that was not me. And 99% of us receive the forgiveness that is warranted. Of course, Harry and Meghan are saying that, Meghan is now receiving all these death threats and all of these, just violent messages and, all these things. And I don't want to see that at all. And unfortunately, that is something that has become a normalized thing for keyboard warriors to send threats and hate through private messages and emails from behind their keyboards, forgetting that the person on the other end is a human being. And, this is just something that nobody should be doing ever. And perhaps a different kind of apology, for using such an extreme reference would have been warranted. But and maybe just something brief saying, what, I have reconciled this. It is up to them whether or not they choose to accept my apology. But to the point where it felt like he was almost groveling was just too far. And I have a feeling it has something to do with the fact that Amazon runs his show, which would be why the apology probably had to be a little bit more in depth than the original tweet, or even just the personal letter to Harry and Meghan themselves. But honestly, perhaps what he should have done is what the left always does and just deny the whole thing. Just pretend that he never said it, despite the fact that the words are right in front of him. He should have just said, nope, I never said that. I don't know what you're talking about. That column doesn't exist. It never existed. I never said that. You're completely wrong. Because that's what Harry did when asked recently about the initial Oprah interview that set off this entire firestorm, where he allowed Meghan to allege that his family was racist. And he knew for the last couple of years that that is what everybody took from these comments. And then in a recent interview, he completely flipped it and said, no, we never said that. We never said. Did Meghan say that the family was racist? Have a look.
Concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What?
And
who is having that conversation with you?
In the Oprah interview, you accuse members of your family of racism. You don't even...
No, we didn't.
Well, of...
The British press said that.
Right.
Did Meghan ever mention that they were racist?
She said there were troubling comments about
there was concern about his skin colour.
Right. Wouldn't you describe that as essentially racist?
I wouldn't.
So I honestly think it would have just been just as effective to just say, didn't happen, and probably would have had about the same outcome. But what I hope this does is also send... No, I've got the other cat here. I hope this sends a message to the royal family as they do consider trying to reconcile with these two, that no amount of apology or groveling is going to work. No level of apology is going to make a difference. They are showing you who they are. They are showing you that even if you say that you are sorry, they're not going to stop until you are completely dismantled and broken. And, some of you might be thinking, yeah, but they're family. It's like, yeah, exactly. They're family. Harry and Meghan have had no hesitation with throwing their own family under the bus for the last several years. Their entire business and income has come from trashing the royal family, and there is no way that they're going to stop based on reconciliation or an apology. They need to be victims, and if they forgive the family, if they forgive people, people who hurt their feelings or say things that they don't like, then that means that they're no longer victims. They don't have the wrongdoing of that other person to continue to harp on, and can't continue to use the harm that that person caused to maintain their victimhood. And Harry and Meghan are always looking for ways to be victims. I honestly think that they're relieved in some ways that they got a rise out of someone from the public, because the royal family hasn't given them anything to go on. They keep throwing things out there, but they have yet to get anyone from the royal family to throw a punch back, to give them more fuel for the fire. So this is probably the most exciting thing that's happened for them in a long time, and there's no way that they're just going to let it go. And there's no way that either one of them will ever admit that the reason someone might be driven to express such an extreme disdain for them is because of the things that they themselves are saying and doing. People can see right through their act that the public doesn't like their attacks on the royal family, that we know that they're lying, that we know they're trying to manipulate them, and that we know that the only reason they want to bring the royal family to the table for reconciliation talks or to try to work things out is so that they can have more material to go on for their podcasts, for their books, for whatever else that they can capitalize on, or maybe create another Netflix series based on just this one conversation. I honestly don't think that the hate that Jeremy Clarkson said that he has for Meghan Markle is so much about Meghan Markle as it is about the fact that she is trying to dismantle something that is so important to a lot of people in England and in Britain. This centuries-old institution that really, is the foundation and is this stability, the stabilizing force in their country, and something that people truly respect and love. And I think it's more about that. I think it's more about the fact that he really dislikes what they are doing to the royal family, not so much about Meghan herself. And of course, they're talking about misogyny and hate and all these things. It's not misogyny, because it's not, Jeremy Clarkson didn't say that he wants to see all women who speak out dragged through the streets and, about hating all women. It's about this one individual, about this person, because of their personal actions and their personal behavior. But of course, Meghan Markle will never, ever recognize that. These two are some of the most clueless human beings on the planet. They think everyone else is stupid and that we don't see them for exactly who they are. They are part of this woke culture who literally cannot handle opposition on any level. They have no sense of humor. Everything is offensive, and victimhood is praised. Jeremy's been in entertainment for 30 years. He's been doing what he's been doing since Harry and Meghan were collecting bugs in the playground. He's always been who he is, and he's not hateful. He's not misogynistic. He's not any of the things that these two or their minuscule, mindless, intolerant following have said he is. I have seen plenty of his shows. There has been no misogyny. There has been no sexism. There has been no hate. And I guarantee neither one of these two have ever laid eyes on anything having to do with Jeremy Clarkson. So it's literally insane for them to say that everything he has ever done and written is based on hate and misogyny and, conspiracy theories and whatever else. It's ridiculous. The man talks about cars for the most part. So having been on TV for as long as he has, if there were these things about hate and misogyny, we would have heard about it long before now. But he's not the one who's changed. Society has changed, and not for the better, unfortunately. And Jeremy, the sane world knows that that perhaps you took things too far, but your audience isn't going anywhere, and Amazon would be completely ridiculous and insane to drop your show or expect you to cut ties with them for any reason. And if you want to know if we can move on, we already have. Please like this video, leave a comment below, share it with others. Also, be sure to hit the notification bell so you can be notified every time I post a video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.